Hello, and welcome back. Welcome back. Daily Edge. Feel like I've been away forever. But here we go. We're gonna jump into some news. I'm Andrew. Um, wow, what a weekend! A lot of stuff going on here in Minnesota and around the world. And maybe just a little bit of motivation to get you guys going. All right, what do we got? I guess we're going to start with Ukraine.
The U.S. and Ukrainian officials have agreed to an updated framework for a peace proposal after initial criticism that the original plan was too favorable to Russia. Israel launched an airstrike in Beirut, Lebanon, killing a high-ranking Hezbollah official, Haytham Ali Tabatabai. Thousands attended the commander's funeral. Venezuela tension. The U.S. is moving to officially designate the Venezuelan government's Cartel de los Soles as a foreign terrorist organization due to worsening security and military activity. Several airlines have canceled flights to the region. Climate Summit. The COP30 UN climate talks concluded in Brazil without an explicit agreement to phase out fossil fuels, though some financial commitments were made. Pakistan attack. Suicide bombers killed at least 3 security force officers in an attack on a headquarters in northwestern Pakistan. Which one of these headlines would you like to cover first?
Well, anything new with Ukraine peace talks? I don't think they're from what you know.
Ukraine peace talks update. Talks in Geneva between the U.S. and Ukraine resulted in an updated and refined peace framework after the original U.S. drafted plan was heavily criticized for favoring Russia. Revision. The initial 28-point proposal has been significantly revised, reportedly down to 19 points, with some of Russia's maximalist demands removed. Key sticking point, Ukrainian President Zelensky continues to stress that the main problem is the potential for any agreement to include legal recognition of Russian sovereignty over occupied territories. Sovereignty reaffirmed. The joint statement by the U.S. and Ukraine confirms that any final agreement must fully uphold Ukraine's sovereignty. Next steps. Discussions will continue, and the new framework must ultimately be approved by the presidents of the U.S. and Ukraine. Would you like the short facts on the Middle East, Venezuela, or another headline?
Yeah. What's going on with Trump's Muslim or whatever? Maybe you know what I'm
Immigration policy targeting Somalis in Minnesota.
That's it.
The most recent development related to President Trump and the Muslim community involves a targeted action against Somali immigrants in Minnesota, which has the largest Somali community in the U.S. Action. President Trump announced he is terminating the Temporary Protected Status, TPS, for Somali migrants living in Minnesota. TPS program. TPS is a federal designation that allows migrants from countries experiencing civil strife or natural disasters to live and work legally in the U.S. without fear of deportation. Rationale. In a social media post, Trump claimed the decision was due to fraudulent money laundering and Somali gangs in the state. Criticism. Minnesota's Attorney General and the Council on American Islamic Relations, quote, CAAR, have called the move an attempt to sow fear and a political attack on the Somali and Muslim community. Legal standing. The decision is facing legal questions over whether the president can terminate TPS for only one state and is expected to be challenged in court. Would you like a short update on another global headline, or...
No, isn't something like this going on in Michigan, too?
That's a good question. The recent news report, Michigan also has a significant Somali and Muslim population, particularly in the Dearborn area. This community, like others nationwide, is experiencing increased fear and uncertainty due to the hardline immigration policies being rolled out. National context. The administration has been moving to end TPS for multiple countries, like Afghanistan and Venezuela, and has increased overall immigration enforcement, which creates a broader context of tension and concern that extends to Michigan and other states. In short, the TPS termination was only announced for Minnesota, but the policy's impact is being felt by similar communities in places like Michigan. Would you prefer to hear the short facts on the Middle East, Venezuela, or another headline before you go live?
So is that why there's a bunch of Somali women on Facebook and other things asking them to get married? What do you know about that? What do you know about that, Gemini?
This observed behavior is directly related to the fear and uncertainty caused by the announcement to end Temporary Protected Status, TPS. Here is the factual summary of why. Pathway to Permanent Status,
Well, we know
Temporary
that.
Protected Status,
I do.
TPS, does not grant a path to a green card or U.S. citizenship. Marriage is an option. For many immigrants, marrying a U.S. citizen is a common, often faster, and more secure pathway to obtaining lawful permanent resident status, a green card, which would protect them from deportation. The threat of termination, the announced termination of TPS for Somalis in Minnesota, has created panic because it removes the legal authorization for those individuals to live and work in the U.S. and puts them at risk of deportation back to an unstable country. Urgency. The sudden threat of losing status has given people a strong, urgent incentive to seek a more permanent and protected immigration solution, with marriage being one of the main viable options. In short, the social media requests are a reaction to the sudden loss of the legal safety net provided by TPS. Would you like the short facts on another headline, such as the Middle East conflict or the Venezuela sanctions?
We might come back to that stuff. All right. Yeah, what was going on with the suicide bombers?
Attack on security headquarters in Peshawar, Pakistan. The suicide bomber incident happened this morning at a security force headquarters in Peshawar, the capital of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province in northwestern Pakistan. Target: the provincial headquarters of the Federal Constabulary, FC, a paramilitary force. Attackers: 2 suicide bombers and at least 1 gunman carried out the assault. Casualties: the attack killed at least 3 security force officers and wounded several others. Sequence: 1 bomber detonated his explosives at the main gate. The second bomber and a gunman were reportedly shot and killed by officers near the parking area before they could reach the main parade grounds. Militant group: no group immediately claimed responsibility, but suspicion falls on the Pakistani Taliban, TTP, which has been behind a surge in similar attacks in the region. The quick response by security forces is credited with preventing a much larger tragedy. I can provide the short facts on the Middle East conflict, the Venezuela sanctions, or another topic. What would you like to cover next?
If anybody's interested in anything or wants to hear something, I would just put a comment down, or even on any of the videos that aren't live anymore. Put something down, I'll look into it, have a conversation. Let's talk about some national. What's going on in the States?
Top national news in the U.S. Here is a short factual summary of key national headlines. Affordability crisis. The rising cost of living continues to be a major domestic issue. Polling shows that voter discontent over inflation and high prices of groceries and housing is a dominant concern nationwide. Controversial threats. A U.S. senator publicly slammed Republicans' silence on President Trump's recent public threats directed towards 6 Democratic lawmakers over a policy dispute, sparking intense political debate. Epstein files. Following a public statement, President Trump has directed the Justice Department to release the remaining sealed files related to the late financier Jeffrey Epstein, though the timeline for the release remains unclear. Federal agents are reportedly escalating tactics for migrant arrests, which has led to increased reports of young people, including teenagers, being detained during school hours. Recalled formula. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, reported that recalled baby formula linked to an infant botulism outbreak is still on store shelves in some areas, prompting further warnings. Which one of these domestic headlines should we discuss in more detail?
Well, since ADHD's got a hold of me this morning, can't stay focused. Let's start with the how is there still baby formula on the shelves that have botulism or whatever in it?
Recalled baby formula still on shelves. This is a serious concern being actively investigated by the CDC and FDA. The product involved is By Heart Whole Nutrition Infant Formula, which has been linked to an outbreak of infant botulism. The main reasons the product is still on shelves include Delayed information sharing. A food safety expert stated that the FDA delayed sharing the full product distribution lists with all state and local food safety officials for nearly a week after the formula was first linked to the outbreak. This slowed local efforts to remove the products. Recalls take time. A nationwide recall requires retailers, including major stores like Walmart and Target, to manually check their inventory and remove the product. This process is not always instant or 100% effective immediately. Customer returns. Some recalled formula is being found on shelves after being returned by customers, and store staff may not properly isolate the returned product before it accidentally makes it back into inventory. Scale of the recall. The company expanded the recall from 2 specific batches to all of its formula products nationwide, which increased the scope and complexity of the removal process. State officials in places like Oregon and Minnesota, where you are located, have conducted physical store checks and removed recalled products from shelves even after the national recall was issued. I can provide more facts on another national headline, or we can move back to international news.
What is botulism?
Botulism. Short, factual summary. Botulism is a rare but serious illness caused by a powerful neurotoxin, nerve poison, produced by the bacterium Clostridium botulinum. Cause. The bacteria's spores are common in soil and dust. When they grow in a low oxygen environment, like in improperly canned food, contaminated formula, or an infant's gut, they release the toxin. Effect. The toxin attacks the nervous system and causes paralysis, muscle weakness, by blocking the release of a chemical necessary for muscles to move. Infant botulism. This is the type linked to the formula. It happens when a baby, usually under 1 year old, swallows the spores. Their intestines lack the proper defenses to stop the spores from growing and producing the toxin. Symptoms. Often starts with constipation, followed by a weak cry, poor feeding/sucking, drooping eyelids, and loss of head control, floppiness. Severity. Without immediate treatment, the paralysis can spread to the breathing muscles, leading to respiratory failure and death. It is a medical emergency. Would you like the short facts on the Middle East conflict or another domestic headline?
Yeah. Let's see here. What about the immigration enforcement?
Escalating immigration enforcement tactics. Federal immigration agents are using more aggressive tactics, including increased operations near places previously considered sensitive locations like schools. Sensitive location policy rescinded. Guidelines put in place by previous administrations that restricted immigration and customs enforcement, ICE, activity in or near places like schools and hospitals were recently rescinded. This allows agents to operate in these areas. Detentions near schools. There are growing reports of agents positioning themselves near school pickup and drop-off lines. In one recent case in Oregon, an agent detained a 17-year-old U.S. citizen during his school lunch break just off campus, though the student was later released. Targeting unaccompanied children, a recent operation reportedly named Freaky Friday, appears to be pressuring children who arrived as unaccompanied minors, ages 14 to 18, and were in federal care to give up their legal rights. Impact on families. The heightened fear has led to reports of increased student absenteeism and anxiety among immigrant families, who now view essential routines like taking children to school as local response. Some school districts and states, like California, have passed new laws or resolutions to limit federal agent access to school grounds without a judicial warrant and to provide legal support to families. Would you like the short facts on the Middle East conflict, the Venezuela sanctions, or another domestic headline?
No, let's swing it over to local. You got anything local?
Local news, Fairmont, Minnesota. Here are a few short, factual local news items from the Fairmont and Martin County area. Teacher of the Year, Chris Engelby, who has spent 36 years with the Fairmont Area School District, was named the 2025 Teacher of the Year for her long-standing positive impact on students.
Nice.
City Administrator transition. The Fairmont City Council is working on a transition plan for the city administrator position, as the current interim administrator, Jeff O'Neill, concluded his role on November 23rd. The finance director has been authorized to assume signatory authority in the interim. Lakes management discussion. The Lakes Management Committee continued its discussions on ways to combat curlyleaf pondweed, CLP, in the Fairmont chain of lakes. They also discussed grant opportunities and the recent inspection of the George Lake Dam. Health insurance costs. Local health insurance agents are reporting that residents can expect fewer options and higher costs for health insurance coverage heading into the next year. City Council meeting. The Fairmont City Council is holding a public hearing today at 5:30 p.m. to update the public and allow comments on the city's Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, SWPPP. Is there a specific local topic, like the city administrator position or the lakes management, you'd like a little more detail on?
Healthcare? Health insurance costs? Ooh. Health insurance costs? So beautiful. Nope. Okay. No, not really. 7-day forecast?
Fairmont, MN 7-day forecast.
All right, let's see here. We got today 52, 25% chance of rain. Okay, tomorrow light snow, 46 degrees as a high, 25% chance of snow. Then we drop down on 29 for a high for Wednesday, 20% chance of precipitation. Partly sunny on Thursday, 27. Friday, 26. Saturday and Sunday, 27 and 26. Kind of looks like Friday there's a 25 to 40% chance of snow. Probably get some snow here by next week. Yay. You wrap all that up into something and give us some motivation.
That is the perfect way to start your segment. You've got this. Here is a motivating wrap-up based on the facts we just covered. The wrap-up, change and resilience. The news today, both local and global, is all about change. And not all of it is easy. We see countries like Ukraine adapting their peace plans, and communities like the Somali Minnesotan one rapidly adjusting their lives in the face of policy shifts. We've even seen your local Fairmont forecast changing to a colder reality. But in every headline, the underlying story is resilience. People are looking for new paths forward. Security forces in Pakistan contained a terrible attack through quick action. Locally, teachers are being recognized for their long-term positive impact on a changing community. As you go live, remember that while you report on the changes in the world, the power to make sense of it all is in your hands. A wise person once said, change is the law of life. And those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. Step into that future now, ready to inform and engage. You are prepared, and we are on the air.
Yay! All right, guys. Change is the law of life. And those who look only to the past or present are certainly going to miss the future. That's a little bit of news, a little bit of motivation for you today. Thanks for stopping in, and don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And yeah, mainly get some comments, some stuff you want me to look into. Put it in the comment. Something that is interesting to you and the rest of the world should see it. Whatever. All right, guys. Have a good one. Peace.